You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on this fine radio dial, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial, The Answer. And then we're over to you in the next couple of days on any streaming site that you like to listen to, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, and of course, we're also on YouTube as well. If you want to find the whole video and nothing but the video, or watch the whole video, then that is your chance to watch and see Hans' dapper suit of the week at any given time.
No one's here to take my picture. No one's here to take my picture. That's all I know.
Whoa. Everybody calm down here. Put your cameras down.
There we go. Okay.
At no given show will you see the same outfit attire on Hans Kennon as you would in any other show. So I implore you to go back and check out every episode, like and subscribe us there. We are sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, a contracting group for contractors by contractors here in the state of Florida, who's now then went over to the consumer market and saying, you know, the insureds, that same look that we have when we all work in property-related insurance claims and where we help homeowners either get back to pre-loss condition in a way by contractor. We have other folks that are part of our association that are public adjusters, others in the association that are attorneys that work and specialize in property damage claims. And today we're going to talk about mold, one of my favorite subjects. And so through the Restoration Association, we've now seen that look so many times on homeowners' face, you know, when they tilt their head sideways, say, what? Like, you know, they're very uninformed. They don't know how insurance claims are supposed to go. And a fact here is that a homeowner deals with an insurance claim, a property insurance claim, on the average, one every 10 years or once in a lifetime, somewhere between there. So not many times do people deal with an insurance related loss, meaning like almost a catastrophe. Most people will file a claim for their auto insurance if there's a nick or a scratch on their paint, and then freak out if they have to file a home insurance claim, and that might have been scar tissue from Citizens Insurance or something. But dealing with that is a specialty. Let's just say that, and you know, we work against special people. Let's just say that in some moments where it like I say a lot, it takes a village, it takes a team of folks, and if you're not plugged in, then it's not really helpful to the homeowner. It's also good for the homeowner to understand how a claim goes and what to expect, what the contractors are doing and saying and such, and what the industry standard is. So then when you do hear this from a contractor, you're not surprised. And as we do remind consumers, always check their insurance, check their reviews, and not just Google reviews. I mean, written testimonials are always great, but many times it's just enough as show me all of your current insurances. You know, sometimes that's just, you know, difficult enough, but to make sure you're using a good contractor. And on our website, raflorida.org, you can find a contractor near you that's in our group, and it's been certified through our association. So anyways, there's my pitch. And I'll take a breather here, but like I said, Hans, and by the way, what's going on, man?
Oh, no, I'm keeping busy. Well, still keeping an eye on the weather. As a junior meteorologist, which is what I feel like I am these days. I'm a lawyer first, and meteorologist second, or maybe meteorologist first and lawyer second. There appears to be no cyclonic activity for the next 7 days in the Atlantic Ocean, according to the National Hurricane Center. It's been cool the last few days from Melissa pulling that cold front down, and I feel like a weatherman. I'm like, and through the Midwest, through the Rust Belt today, there's a cold front moving its way south to the southeast. Ooh, get that jacket out, kids. Like that kind of thing. So
if Melissa was there a week beforehand, that you think it would have got sucked up into the Gulf and maybe into Florida?
Well, there's been this cold front. Again, it's crazy that I actually spend my days talking like this. There actually, for all season, there's been a cold front sitting essentially right on the line of the southeast with enough push just to make it. That's why everything has turned so suddenly. Everything's come close to Florida, then made a hard turn. I'm heading north. And really, nothing's really touched the coast. Even South Carolina and North Carolina had a lot of wave activity. We saw some houses teeter-totter there into the ocean. But really, nothing on the East Coast has been struck by anything. this entire season. September and October were the first time in a decade that there were no storms that hit the state of Florida. November looks like it's going to be the same.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that kind of goes into what the Restoration Association is talking about this Wednesday in Daytona, as we do events where we hold lunch and learns, we give information out to the contractors, public adjusters, those folks working in the insurance type of in industries. Check us out, raflorida.org. Another little punch there. So, but really good pitch for sure. But great information for us to know. I mean, what we're going to talk about is data loss. Without a storm, a dramatic storm such as Milton last year, such as Ian a few years back, and storms that affected a big geographic area, there are many storms that have popped up. There are many little tornadic activities, as you would say to the meteorological world there,
Yes.
Hans. And so, but that's what we're going to be discussing is how to find the weather in the area. If there's damage to the roof and you have a homeowner that didn't discover the damage for months later, then you're now scratching your head wondering, okay, well, when did this happen? And many people end up putting the data discovery instead of the data loss. And by the time they do figure out the data loss, it might be in a separate policy period. At that point, it might be too late to actually have a valid claim. So it's very important to know where you're, if you're talking to a homeowner, how to find the right weather, how to use and understand NOAA, and use the weather stations near, if there are any airports near the site and such, so you can cross-verify this.
So I can tell you this, that typically the date of discovery is a beautiful, clear day with no wind and no activity. Because if it's pouring rain out, your clients don't go outside to look at their roof. Well, I do, because I wear a yellow North Face slicker so they can find my body more easily if something bad happens. I actually do walk around during hurricanes and check everything. But other than people like myself, the time you go inspect your roof or go outside and look up at your roof, it's always a nice day. You're not going to do that in the pouring rain, right? You're going to go, oh, I won't check it tomorrow. I'll look at when it's nice out.
Right.
And it's nice out, and you look outside and you find shingles in your yard or whatever you find, and you call, and they go, and the insurer always goes, what's the date of loss? And you say, well, what's today? It's Monday. I guess it's today. and then the insurer goes, okay, so you're saying it's today. You're like, yeah, I'm saying it's today.
That's what I'm calling
So
it.
it's today, because you're calling us today. And they try to box you into this date of loss without people realizing, or other, even sometimes some contractors realizing, that the date of discovery, unless it's a huge storm, is seldom the date of discovery. So then for the entire claim, until I get involved, they keep saying, well, Hans, then you're just joining us for this claim. The date of loss doesn't work because it was sunny that day. I'm like, it wasn't that day. Well, the insured said it was that day. I'm like, well, the insured's not in the insurance business or a meteorological business. I said, and we believe the date of loss is more suitable to be X. And they get all in a dither about the fact you're trying to change the date of loss. I'm not trying to change the date of loss. My client didn't know what the date of loss meant for them. For them, date of discovery and date of loss are really the same thing.
Right. And it's important to know as a contractor as well, as you're not really you're assisting and answering the questions as much as you can to an insured, to a homeowner, and knowing within that, like, how this may go, what they may be able to cover, but here's our price. Here's how this possibly could go. And but with today's different policies, with limitations, caps, so many things we need to understand as a contractor, so many things you need to understand as an insured, what would be covered and what wouldn't be. It's like taking your vehicle to a body shop and say, okay, we don't cover paint, but we'll cover the dents and the quarter panels. But and know that up front. And so and as a contractor, to know what type of liability you may have and know how to separate your estimates to what would be quote unquote upgrades, right? Or what would be things that are not included in the policy to include in your scope.
I mean, exactly. And again, for the contractors, and we'll talk about this on Wednesday up in Daytona, and it's the idea that you have to be very cognizant of the policy period, when the policy begins and when it ends. Because on occasional days, you will find someone had their policy renewed the day before, and the next day happens to be the date of the storm, or it's the date of discovery, and then they give that date, then you realize that the storm is a month before. Well, that's a different policy period.
Mm-hmm.
Now the insurer's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute, wait.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different policy, ma'am. And then you have the problems that we run up against, which normally result in there being a problem with being successful on the claim.
That's right. And to know this, it takes experience, right? Just being new to the industry and expected to understand that. And what I talk about a lot on the show is it does take a village. So you may need to bring in a public adjuster. You may have to have an attorney review the policy. And Hans all the time says, I'll give you a free policy review.
Sure.
As well. Many times you give out your cell phone number as well, and many times you've been sent pictures of policies.
Nothing like getting 50 pictures. You're like, and then you try to print those out. And, your printer's like, why are these people's hands on in your pictures? So
they're holding the paper up.
Exactly, holding it up, and then they've got all the stuff.
Send me the first page with all of the coverages.
the declaration sheet, as it is otherwise known in the industry. Let's start with that before you send me everything else. So, but no, happy to take a look at it for you. Happy to give you some ideas. We had an insurance agent on last week who was very helpful, a good guy. I actually asked him for a quote on my house. I got to get another guest, Mike Heyman, who did my property inspection. I'm waiting to get a copy from him of his report to send in. So I mean, I really every week we have someone on, and I go, I could probably use that person.
Right.
So insurance agent, painting, plumbing, drywall. I mean, the list goes on and on of folks that
who we haven't had on in a while?
Who's that?
A mold remediation company.
Is mold, is that like truffles like you put on your salad? Like a fungi? Is that what you guys do?
But with no E on the end.
You're not truffle hunters? Nothing as exotic as that? Okay.
Well, one of my favorite subjects is mold. Let's talk about mold. I've been a mold assessor for quite a long time, and we've worked with many fine remediation companies over the years. And one of my favorites, Innova Restoration. What's going on, Natalie? How are you?
Hi, everybody. Natalie with Innova Restoration. Here to talk about mold.
That's awesome. And in Florida, you have to have a separate mold remediation license if you're doing mold removal, remediation of any sort of mold growth over 10 square feet. And a separate license exists as a licensed mold assessor, and that's writing the protocol for mold over 10 square feet. And so in this, it is a specialty. It really is. And I know as many people have now are offering additional services. So I'd love to hear, outside of water damage and emergency extraction, mold remediation, what kind of services are you guys offering today?
We consider ourselves a full-service restoration company. And what that really means is we can start from zero. If you have water damage and mold, we can handle that. But we can also do the repairs. We're licensed building contractors. That's awesome. So it's a one-stop shop. You don't have to have 5 different contractors come out to your house. That gives the homeowners peace of mind. And with my insurance industry knowledge for many years here in the state of Florida, we can help you through the whole process. We know the lingo, we know the process. We want to give our clients peace of mind. They're stressing, they're concerned, mold is in their home. They don't know if those allergies that they've been having are a big concern. Is it a medical problem? So we want to get in there and do our job as quickly as possible.
That's awesome. And many times we've seen the clearances, and that's what we look at as a licensed mold assessor. Like many times, Hans, where people say, "What's the best insurance company for you to use?" And you're going, "Okay, which company don't I sue?" Mm-hmm. And you scratch your head.
Yeah.
And then when people ask me the same, which remediation company would you recommend? And I go to, okay, which one passes every PRV, is very clean, they take a lot of pride in their work, and that's Innova Restoration. And that's somebody that just takes a lot of pride in your work. So I really appreciate you being here tonight, and it's great to have you on the show. And it's great for our listeners to be able to hear not only your passion, your background, but also how to get a hold of you. So how would we get a hold of you? Both your phone number, maybe email and website?
Sure. So we are a 24-hour service. If you have a leak or a fire or anything, we also do trauma and crime scene. People don't really use that benefit, but it's also part of our process, and we're licensed for that. The best way to reach us is through the phone. You can call us at 407-630-7843. You can email us at clientservices at innovafl.com. You can look us up on social media. We're on Google. We have our website, innovafl.com. And you're going to get a live person speaking to you 24 hours a day, literally.
That's awesome. And it's Innova, like I'm in, and then Nova. So if you look at it like that, Nova or Innova, Innova.
So here's someone people can call. We were talking about mold a little bit before, but you're there the moment the leak occurs. You bring the dehumidifiers and the fans and the equipment and all those things in to dry out the property, not just come in later if there's mold to remediate, right?
Correct. We can do the entire process.
Okay.
But what we start off is with our dedicated project managers. These are gentlemen who have been in this industry a very long time. And not only are they licensed in mold remediation, but they do a full inspection. We're not just going to go in there and start ripping up stuff. We have technology that we use to check for moisture. We don't just wait and see where the water is. If there's not a plumber available, we'll try to shut off the water. We use thermal imaging cameras to check further, which helps us see moisture in the walls, in the ceilings, on the flooring. So yeah, we'll start with an assessment. We'll figure out what's going on and give the homeowner a plan of action. Because in the middle of the night, when your laundry machine overflowed, you're stressing. You don't know what to do. And we're that company that's going to come out and tell you, this is what is going on and this is what the process will be like. From water mitigation, if we caught it quickly, maybe there's not mold. But maybe there was a leak behind the wall that you just noticed in the middle of the night. That might have mold in it. Mold can grow within 24 hours of moisture being on the drywall. So we'll come in and we'll check that. If there's mold, there's other procedures. It's not just putting out a whole bunch of blowers and spreading mold all over your house. We'll probably do air scrubbers and dehumidifiers to start it off. And we'll just go over the full assessment with the homeowner little by little in lamest terms and let them know what needs to happen. And then they can decide. Some people want to do a cash job. They're scared to call their insurance companies because they're scared they're going to be terminated. Their policy is going to go up. So we'll give them as much information as they need on how the process can take place. We do cash jobs. We do insurance claims. We even help with financing if necessary for the repairs. So it's a whole process, and we'll go through them step by step.
That's great. And congratulations on the contracting license. Has that been in the past few years?
Yes, for about a little over 3 years.
That's great.
We decided to extend our services to that because it felt like a missing piece. We wanted to give our customers the best quality. And if we're already working there, we already know the house. They already have entrusted us to come into the home. All of our technicians, all of us, even our office staff, we all have full background checks. We're actually preferred vendors for many insurance companies, and that in itself is very hard. We actually had a client that came in through a preferred network for the insurance company who at first said, I don't want a preferred vendor, they suck. They're not going to do the job that I need them to do.
They must have been listening to the show or something.
So we came out and we gave them the same service we give all of our clients. And he said, I like them. They actually came on and actually did a real good job. And he was astonished, but that's the type of quality that we give. It's not just a one, come in and do what the insurance says. It's come in and do what we know is correct and what we know we have to do.
Yeah. No, that's great. And that's great that you're offering your services, and that's where it should be. It should be about the client at the end of the day. And with so many policies, and that's what we talk about on the show, is we refer back to the ever-changing policy. I mean, think about 10 years ago till now. It's just mind-blowing, where, now we're not even looking for like what the exclusions are. It's like everybody knows what those are. And But now it's like limitations and caps. I mean, those are what are in matching and little things like that are I guess that would be a matching cap, but where it's a lot of confusion. It's like it's a real head scratcher now when you're looking at these policies to understand what you're covered for, what you're not. And most people don't look at that. They look at what is it going to cost me? How can I get the cheapest insurance? And then you find out that they're using a managed care program type of one, like a Citizens policy. And or when they used to not be the insurer first choice, they used to be the insurer of last resort. And now you've seen that they've taken those restrictions off, and everybody is able to get Citizens, and they have such a heavy takeout policy program now that they had up to about 1.4 million policies out of 6.5 million that exist here in Florida. Well, they ended up offloading them. I think what were they down to recently?
About 650,000 from almost half of what they had.
Wow, that was over the last year or two. They've been depopulating Citizens, so meaning that you would buy a cheaper policy from Citizens that says you only have $10,000 of water, basically just to use $10,000 for any major event if you want to choose who you want to. So you got $10,000. Or you choose this managed care program and we'll take care of it all, right? And that's even confusing to me. I'm like, well, okay, what's the catch?
Right. So something has to be less.
Right. Like why it seems like, especially if you have a whole house loss. So it's like $100,000 versus 10. Of course I'm going to choose the 100,000, but I'm like, I need it all done. I can't just take 10 to do what's going to cost me 100. So that doesn't make sense for me to just take 10,000 when I really need 100. So you're saying if I just choose this program that you're making me choose, which I don't think it's legal, but they are, but now you have to choose this, and it's whoever the insurance company sends out. And so only to be lucky enough if you guys came out, but then, do they give you free reign, or does the insurance company push back on you, the vendor?
So we get to do our estimate, and we get to put in what we actually are doing. We give them our scope of work from day one. And if it's a viable claim, it's a viable claim. We're going to do what we said we're going to do. Our care is for the homeowner. 100%. So what our scope of work is what our scope of work is. They may take out something like an emergency call or something simple, like some simple line items. They may tell us, hey, take that out. But very little pushback do we get.
That's great.
But with Citizens, a lot of people don't understand that $10,000 also includes the water mitigation. They assume that the $10,000 would be for them to make the repairs. But if you call a non-managed care program vendor for Citizens specifically, you have to pay out of that $10,000. You also have to pay your water mitigation bill. What's really left? Great if they have their $10,000 mold. If they have mold, then we can work on that benefit for the mold. But the water and the repairs all comes out of water.
Right.
I mean, to what extent can you utilize the emergency services provision, which is usually $3,000 or 1% of coverage A? Does that help the client at all with that on the emergency side? We think we could.
It should, right? Because you should be billing as a mitigation company, in my opinion, should be a $3,000 emergency water mitigation.
Right.
I know sometimes they kick back on the EMS part of it, but it's in every policy. So usually first responder in the non-managed care program kind of person would come in and bill $3,000 for emergency mitigation service, $10,000 for water, $10,000 for mold, thereby $23,000.
Right, you pick up 23 or the rest of 1% of coverage A.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're talking about a whole house,
you can't, For dry out, mold remediation, and build back, you're never gonna you're never gonna be able to complete that task. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They make it a lot more difficult these days, and that's why understanding your policy, understanding what you have, is very important. And if you do have a time of loss, and that's when you call somebody that does know and can possibly give you some advice that you would need to get you back to pre-loss condition. That would be a Innova restoration service. So we're glad to have you here. Last 25 seconds or so. So again, remind us about how we'd get a hold of you. Start with your name, and then of course your company, how to get a hold of you, email, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So again, I'm Natalie with Innova Restoration. We can be reached at 407-630-7843. We're home here in Orlando, Florida. And we can be reached at client services at InnovaFL.com. That's INNOVA, Innova Restoration.
All right, and we'll be right back after this message. All right, we're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. A few days later, then we're on streaming anywhere you like to stream, from Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere else. And of course, you can check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe us there. A full video. I was going to make up something. I was going to say an entourage of them. I don't know where I was going with that. But my entourage today is Hans Kennon with his full attire that you'll never see twice in one full, I would say. Are we into seasons now? Would we say we're on our maybe 7th or 8th season?
I don't know.
20th episode?
Oh, you mean just from being here?
No, not here. Just overall, I would say.
It's like 5 years, man. We've spent a couple years over at JRR, Saturday, 12 to 2. Did that for a long time, and then we started here in January.
No, October.
October
of last year.
Oh, so it's been a year.
Wow. 1 year goes by fast.
There was no party. Did someone have a party?
There's still glitter on the counters here, but that might have been from the last show.
I saw a folded American flag. I thought we were getting fired. I thought that was how they tell you here at 94.9.
No, it's a fun group here, and we really appreciate the radio station here. It's so funny when we mention that we're on live radio. The younger generation is still like, yeah, okay, yeah, and then in disbelief or not really knowing what that really means, and we're like, no, it's like live, radio. It's like when you go into your car and hit the FM button. Like, yeah, I don't do that. There's Spotify. So we're cool. We're hip with that. So it's why we're also on Spotify. Many seasons, many years of shows on Spotify, and several years on our YouTube page of videos here or episodes here of our show, in which we have different contractors throughout the years that have been a big range of like our inspection buddies. I mean, one thing that ties into our industry here, and even shopping, we're talking offline about how much we pay, and holy cow, Natalie, you pay a lot, I pay a lot, Hans pays a lot, and we constantly shop our insurance. One thing that has lowered it is going out and get a wind mitigation inspection and a 4-point inspection. So that's what I had to do for my house, and I was able to lower my insurance. I think it was like maybe $6,000 a year, now to about $3,500 a year.
Wow, that's big.
That's good.
That was big. And I went over to Loggerhead Insurance, and that just makes me think of who the heck is Loggerhead and where they come from? But
that was my first thought.
Right.
Did they have a jingle?
They have a
jingle?
No, I wonder what it would be. Right, it would be something like boring.
Like I think it's like Chuck from Finding Nemo. I think, wasn't that his name? The sea turtle.
Jesus. She knows this. No idea. But from what I understand, it was some AAA executives running over to Tampa, starting a new insurance company. But since the sweeping law changes 2022 and 2023, many new insurance companies have entered the marketplace and have supposed to have greatly lowered the premiums. But we're not seeing any drastic reductions at all. We did see drastic increases last year and the year before to the tune of 100, 150, 200%. And it's funny, you'll see the papers like, oh, so-and-so just dropped the rates by 5%. I'm like,
where?
Wow.
Well, I mean, what's funny, it's a little bit like, to me, like the current stock market. Decisions get made and the market goes down, and then just no decision gets made, market goes up. I go, look, I made the market go up. You're like, well, no, you just kind of manipulated the market, and that's what the insurance companies did for all those years. They literally, by report given to the Department of Insurance Regulation, literally made believe they didn't make any money. Literally started companies and fed them millions and millions of dollars so they looked like they didn't have enough money to pay their claims, went back to the Office of Insurance Regulation and got more money. So for those couple of years, the premiums didn't have to double, triple, quadruple. They were just manipulated in a manner that made that happen. And now people are like, oh, it'll never. Can we get them back down? Well, they never were supposed to go up in the first place.
No. And now we're seeing that. And again, I was saying, so much new competition is entering the market. Why aren't we seeing even more drastic decreases? But the top 10 are still overcharging folks in my head, and we're still seeing follow-ups from that article. I don't think it was a year yet after Milton and Helene went through. Maybe it was a 6-month update from the newspapers reporting at that time that Citizens, being at the very top, were just undermining, underpaying or denying a claim. Now, underpaying is just as bad as denying a claim, because they're basically saying, oh man, a Category 5 hurricane went over your home. I think maybe 4. Either way, it's not much of a wind. Either way, a lot of wind went over your home, right? And they're trying to say that, okay, hey, man, I'm so sorry that a hurricane went over your home, but the damages don't supersede your deductible. And what we saw with the IAs, the independent adjusters, writing estimates to replace the full roof, estimates to replace the interior, to find out that later on that their estimates were manipulated by the desk adjuster, by the carrier, and then sent to the homeowner with the original adjuster's name still on it. So they were getting phone calls going like, hey, what are you doing? You said I was going to write for this, I was going to get money. Then the insurer then sends me a letter and says, well, there's only $7,000 worth of damages and your deductible is $8,000, so we're not going to issue you a payment. That's pretty much denying you. So Citizens was out in the paper that they were stated as denying 77% of all the claims filed by Hurricane Milton and Helene. That's disgustingly high. 77% of everybody that made a claim were just flat out not paid, period. And so many of those were saying that, oh yeah, we did issue payment, but it just didn't meet the deductible. I mean, that's their new way of just trying to be like, well, we did approve the claim. It was approved. Right. You know, it's like, congratulations, you get nothing. And so why even have insurance? And that's what's frustrating, is that we have to by law. Well, anyways, then right after that, another article comes out and says, 14 insurers, and they name them all, starting at People's Distrust all the way down, to even, All Snake Farm, all the top 10 plus several more, were guilty of denying more than 50% of all the claims filed for both of those storms. So now we have 15 carriers who hold the majority of the insurance policies in the state of Florida, just denying most all of their claims. And so if they do that, we know by facts and numbers that only 10 to 20% of those people that have been denied actually do something about it. And so that's also mind-boggling. It's just jaw-dropping to me that you would see that many people are just like, well, I tried.
I mean, that's what always surprises me, that my phone doesn't ring more often than it does. Not that it doesn't ring enough as it is. The fact that people just simply accept, I mean, in normal circumstances, in your everyday life, you would not accept constant no's. If you went to Wawa and said, I'd like to buy some gas, no. you would go, well, why not? When you go to any store, you go, no. If they said no to you at the same frequency as your insurance company, people would rise up against these companies and say, this is unbelievable. They keep telling me no, I can't get anything done. But for insurance, people seem to accept these no's really as if there was a gift they were supposed to get and they didn't get the gift. It's not a gift; it's a contract. The contract requires them to adjust the claim fairly and provide payment. So they're not doing you a favor. There's a reason why their names are on top of all the big buildings, is because they're there to make money. They're in a profit-making business, which is okay. Businesses are supposed to make profit, and no one's complaining about that. It's the unfairness of their claims handling and claims management that really is the problem. When we talked about that report from a couple of years ago, even when it was disclosed that these companies had formed shell companies to take all the money, the legislature could have just passed a law that said, can't do that. Or they have to be limited to the same profit percentage as an insurance company. There's a myriad of things they could have done, and all they did was just let it ride and go, well, I guess that's how it is. Well, that's why the premiums stay high, is because the insurance company is still sending out millions of its dollars, so it literally falsely shows a loss.
Right.
That's literally what it does.
Right. And so to kind of put that perspective, it's like the insurance company is limited or capped at, I love to use the word cap against insurance companies as they do to us, but they are capped up to 5% of profit, and meaning that all the dollars that are coming in need to go back out to paying claims. Right. We know that also 50% of every dollar paid into insurance is paid back out to reinsurance. So that's a big, hefty cost within that. And that's coverage for hurricane claims from the carrier. So with years of no hurricanes, that would then get less. Right. But if we're having year after year, that would probably remain the same. But outside of that, they're capped at 5% profit. So they're overpaying with all the excessive profits that they get by keeping their premiums so high, no reductions, no give backs to policyholders, right? But what they're doing is they're overpaying their third parties. Let's say they have a payroll company that they own. They have an administrative company, right, that writes checks for them and does minor little administrative stuff. I mean, look at Universal. You get checks with Alder Adjusting on it or whatever like that. That's their adjusting firm that they pay. I'm sure a lot of money to adjust the claims, right?
I mean, the best example I have would be is if you paid every member of your family like a full salary to like work around the house. Of course, moms always should get paid the most because they do the most.
Right.
I think it's like $135,000. There was some number in the paper about what you should pay your wife for the job she does. A couple $100,000. It'd be like me paying my wife a couple $100,000 a year and then telling the IRS, no, it's all payroll money. Right. I think, would they accept that? I pay my kid $10,000 to take the trash out. The other kid $20,000 to clean the bathroom. That's what they're doing. They're essentially taking money and leaving it within their family, but then claiming that it's gone, that it was used as payroll, and I think that's the best example. You think of your own home. Could you tell the IRS that you spent all your money paying salaries to your family, so you don't have any money?
Right, and well, I think you just described slide insurance.
Mr. and Mrs. Slide?
Right, because in an article in the paper, I'm not talking trash, I only found that out because it was an article in the paper, but apparently the owner of Slide, who came from Enron, no doubt, and over to Florida and started Heritage Insurance, made $80 million in 8 years there, left there, and then starts with 91,000 policies from UPC and just this gift from the state of Florida, all funded up front, which is amazing, and all the claims go over to FIGA, which we all pay for. But anyways, and then he puts his wife on salary, so together his 30 plus million, and now she gets paid 20 million. Together they make $1 million a week in payroll. That's amazing. So we wonder where our money goes to. These executives are making hand over fist, and so then they're we can't afford to pay claims though.
Right, because their expenses are exceeding their asset. So if they pay them $50 million, then they got to go get more money from their insureds.
Yeah, well, and we do take donations here, the Restoration Association of Florida, raflorida.org, in case you're feeling hands. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after the break. All right, we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday right here, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. And great conversations that we're having today. Today we're talking about mold remediation. And let's dive right back into that. And so we it's like a male version of The View over here. We kind of get started with what's going on in the industry and a long description, and maybe I'll talk about myself, a long description of it getting there, right? But so some good insights, I want to talk a little bit more about Innova Restoration and what you guys offering here in the Central Florida area. So you talked about water restoration, which is a little bit different than the hey, I've got, or is a big need for the water remediation because it is different than just calling a plumber. And the plumber's like, I got you, I can take care of this, right? And that's where you need to be, a little bit weary about having the right professionals doing the right thing. So when you're drying it out, you're getting things done. I mean, if you don't know what a 2-foot flood cut, right? That's why they talk about 2-foot, 4-foot flood cuts. Not really, exceeding those certain areas. Only professionals know what they need to do for your home and advise you the right way. Do we need to test for mold? Do we need to do mold remediation? And then what does that look like for cost-wise to rebuild? So you're able to offer all those in-house. And so for the Central Florida market, Are you able to offer competitive, I guess, just free in-home assessments about what's going on, and maybe even estimates that go along with it?
So yes, we actually come out and do a free assessment. And I want to make it clear that an assessment is us coming over. We send our licensed professionals to your home and we check your home completely. You tell us what your problem is and we use our equipment to see what's actually going on behind the walls. So that's our part. And we do have the equipment and everything you need on an emergency call ready to be placed in your home. However, if you're looking for just an estimate, we can write you an estimate, but there is a fee. Why? Because we have all this equipment and we have all the special software available and we know the lingo and we know what needs to be put into that estimate. So for that, we do charge a fee. If you just want an estimate from us, a physical estimate that you can send to your insurance company, that would be paid. If you want a quote on getting the water mitigation done right now, we can give that to you. That's free. But a full exactimate using the insurance company's software, yes, there is a fee for an exactimate estimate.
Here's a question I have just about mold generally. When I have clients call and they'll say, I have black mold. I looked up on the internet. I have this stuff called, and they can never make it sound like Stanislavski, and I'm like, you mean Stocky? Stachybotrys? Yeah. This is, does all mold have to be remediated? Like, and I say that just for purposes of a client. If they go, oh, I have some not black, like white, what? I mean, does everything have to be? Can you spray it? Can you biocide it? Can you, or does it have to? It's got to go. I'm just from a consumer perspective. Again, people call me and say, I have the black stuff's going to kill me, and I go, what color is it? It's white. Well, it's not the black stuff. No, but I think it's bad. I'm like, that's not my business. So I guess I'm just kind of curious. Does mildew is mildew the same as mold?
I mean, it really depends on the food source usually. So, but yeah, usually find black mold in black dark corners with no light. That's what they talk about. Stachybotrys growing and colony forming units like that in dark areas. With heavy water activity at 93% or more. So meaning that it has to be like an active long-term leak usually. Just start finding fragments of Stachybotrys, and even then, out of 300 genuses there's only one of them, which is Stachybotrys catarium, that's actually really bad for you. So you really need to get down to anyways. And so it's people just think it's all bad, but like you say, Hans, it depends.
Right.
And it really does. But there really is no good mold. It's like if you got mold in your bread, you're not like, oh, good, this is a good mold. No, that's still mold and it's still bad. You still want to throw it away.
Can I take it instead of penicillin?
I mean,
if I eat it, is that okay?
I wonder about that. I was allergic to that when I was a kid. But yeah, no. And there are some molds that are very fast growing mold, like your Aspergillus penicillium, but when we're talking about water, and I was kind of feeding or kind of like setting it up for this discussion, when not having the right remediation professional out there could lead to hidden pockets of mold, or not hiring the right professional that comes out and offers this assessment and notices that you have 1950 drywall, but it's not really drywall, it's plaster. And it's got, what is it? It's, 75 years. I'm like, how long is that? 75 years of paint layers over it, right? I mean, and now you're like, wow, is there lead-based paint, trapped in some of those layers? Is there possibility of asbestos? Those things come to light and should come to light when you're using a professional. And how many times have you guys ran into that? Because I know we've gotten that calls from you guys going, oh my gosh, I can just feel the asbestos in this house.
Right. So again, like you had mentioned in the past, less than 10 square feet, small area, we can treat it, get rid of it right away. However, if there's more, or if we suspect it in other areas in the home, we call a professional company, a mold assessing company, because by law we can't do both, right? We can't test it and remediate it.
Right.
So we call a professional company to come out.
Does plaster have asbestos in it?
Well, so let's say this. So a residential home built prior to, they usually say 1978, but they stopped producing and using asbestos-containing materials supposedly in 1980. So we like to say 1980 and before. If your house was built in 1979 to 1980 and before, then and you have popcorn ceiling and your ceiling got wet, or you have 9x9 tiles that are just known to have chrysotile in them, which is what, when you say this asbestos containing material, it's chrysotile, which is what we're testing for. If it's 1% or over, it's considered hot. And so we would look at those materials knowing which ones you'd have to remediate, and we'd be testing each one of those materials. So drywall has, if you think about, okay, we're testing the drywall, but in the drywall, there's so many things that we're testing in that one piece of drywall when we send it to the lab. They're testing layers of paint if we request it for lead-based paint. They'll test the layers there. They'll test it for asbestos. And we're also checking the drywall mud. Now, that's where a lot of asbestos-containing material or asbestos is found in the laboratory results. Not necessarily in the drywall, but in the mud. So when they're mudding up, I'm Italian today, but where they're mudding it all in is they were still using that material that has asbestos in it. So, mesothelioma. But with that, I mean, that's why I made a suggestion to say, make sure you use a professional that knows these things. And I know Innova knows these things. Many professionals that we work with at the Restoration Association of Florida knows that as well and works with what they call an IH or an assessor, or I've called many things over the years, many things. But one thing is going back to, I need a consultant. I need somebody to come test this. And usually the restoration companies would do that, or they have in-house testers, or I know some of them would test for asbestos before they remove anything. And if it was hot, then they reach out to the third party to write a whole survey. So then you know what materials are hot and what aren't, and then what the procedures are. So, but yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But know about this though, because when you do have an estimate done, and that estimate is then paid by the insurance company, and you sign a full release, you're done with that claim. There's no more going back once you start getting into the wall, finding additional stuff, finding asbestos, and finding that you have to do more than what you were paid for. Now you're in a whole nother hurt locker, right? Like, oh no, I got some money. Now I'm halfway through my rebuild and I ran out of money. Right. What am I going to do? Wow. So knowing that up front, if you would have known, said, okay, I would have put in for that. Now that I noticed that the popcorn ceiling is like, I wondered why it was shiny a little bit. I thought it was just, cool, but no, it's asbestos crystals. That's what that is. So, but yeah, no, really? Yeah, you didn't.
I mean, look at the popcorn ceiling has a little like glitter, for lack of a better term. Is that often asbestos?
It depends, but because there is, like today, some new paint and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
I wouldn't expect it today, but I mean, obviously, but an older home, if you see older that. Home. Huh. Yeah,
1970s or before, original shag carpet, original ceiling. Yeah, it's probably got asbestos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like that.
That sounds bad.
It is bad, and if that is the case, you definitely need to call a professional. Those yellow stains in the ceiling, those are important, and especially if you do see them. And we talked about data discovery, data of loss a little bit in the beginning of the show. Data discovery is when you start to see that yellow stain, and then going back to saying, okay, when could that yellow stain been created? It sometimes takes up to 30 days from water to travel from a small little area with constant rain, and maybe a small little pinhole leak to come all the way down and then start to show itself in the ceiling.
Could it be like raccoon pee if it's yellow?
It could be.
Does that ever happen? You ever seen that before?
No. Is that a?
I don't know. I was just curious.
Is that a new way of loss now?
I don't know.
Possum infestation I've seen.
Ah, there you go.
Yes, and I do know that many of those animal, what do they call them, are usually excluded. Critter or rodent.
Vermin.
Is that what they call it? Not critters anymore.
Vermin. In the policy, it's vermin.
Ah, it is.
Yes.
I don't know him, but I know I've done many guano tests though for bats in the Belfry.
Really?
That gets covered, believe it or not. We have to go up there and we literally scoop the poo and send it and just validate that that's what it is. And it comes back and it's like, that's what it is. It's certified guano, baby. And then they pay for the claim. I mean, somebody's got to clean that poo up.
And that's us.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
That's it. Yeah, many things you've learned here. If you have bats in your attic, it may be covered under your policy of insurance. There you go.
And then you call Innova Restoration and we'll come and clean it up for you. Unless you want to do it yourself.
I don't think anybody wants to do that. Even Ace Ventura doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, and I love the estimate part, because right after a storm, the insurance company can then come to you, the homeowner, and say, go get me 3 estimates. Or, and then finally when they find a contractor that can do the estimate, you're kind of stuck with them. So I kind of like the idea of you, if coming to you as a professional, even if especially if I had to pay for it. And but like you said, if you sign up though with you, you're handling everything estimate wise, and working along with the homeowner to submit those estimates to the insurance company to make sure that they are been paid in whole as you continue to move on with their claim. Get them to a part to where they're living mold-free, water damage-free, and then submit your estimates for rebuild. And at many times through that, you're halfway through the process. It should be pretty easy then, right? Because you're already used to working not only with the homeowner, but with the insurance company, so you can send in your estimates and all that. How's the success? How has the success been recently after the law change? Has it been smooth, or has it been an interesting process?
I mean, it's a learning curve, right? Everything with the laws changing, you have to change. You have to change the way you're doing business, but still give your clients that top-notch effort. So that's what we do. We move with the changes, but we still give 100%. We really care about our customer service, and that's what we really focus on. If we need to help them out, we'll help them out.
Great. And how we get a hold of you again?
Right. You call Natalie at Innova Restoration at 407-630-7843. If you have an emergency water leak, give us a call. Or if you have a funny odor in your home, whether it be mold, poo,
Richie.
whatever you need, we can come out, we can check it out, and if it's something we can do, we'll clean it out for you too.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, and again, thank you guys for joining us on the show today. If you liked what you're here and you're driving through Central Florida, you have another chance to check us out on anywhere you like to stream, and again on YouTube as well. Check us out, raflorida.org. Thank you guys for listening. Talk to you next week. See you.